Influences, horror and otherwise, are all from the 1950s when I grew up as a kid. I think you fall in love with movies and music and everything when you're really young. And those movies and those pieces of music that you hear on the radio are really powerful. And they stay with you the rest of your life. That's where my influence came from. In terms of jumping, I just look for good stories. That's the essence of movies, is a good story. Because a director's just a storyteller. So I look for something hopefully different to do. Something I haven't done before, try something new. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes I fail at it, but I like to keep trying new things.
Do you have a favorite subgenre?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Women in prison movies.
Good evening, Mr. Carpenter.
How you doing?
It's an honor to meet you, sir. I remember watching the documentary about Escape from New York, and then how you always had a problem with authority, and that helped you create Snake Plissken. Can you tell us anything about, any experiences that want to make you such a badass character?
Do I appear to be a badass to you? Well, I don't know. Maybe it's my way I was raised, or maybe, I don't know. But authority is I'm always suspicious of authority. Every kind of authority. Yeah, but it's terrible when I became a parent because I was the authority. How dare you question me? Break my personality. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to think. Don't tell me where to stand. Leave me alone.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Carpenter. I would like to know about Halloween. It's such a classic, and of course, it started Jamie Lee Curtis's career off. Did you realize it was going to become such a big success? It was independent production, and did you realize it was going to be such a phenomenal success that it is?
We had no clue. We're just trying to make a movie. We're just a bunch of young kids. Just barely knew what we were doing. Nobody had any idea.
Hello, Mr. Carpenter. We had an opportunity to speak yesterday about Rob 13. I don't know if you remember. Something you said in... my name is Michael Plumides. I'm here with Ghost Trek. My girlfriend and I watched together your featurette about The Thing, and your first experience with a big studio was The Thing. You said you had more time than you had ever, conceived that you would to produce The Thing, etc. How much waste was involved? And from your experiences we're jumping from the indie world, and that nobody was doing that then. Jumping from the indie world to the production world within Universal or within whomever, Paramount or whoever it is. What were the downfalls, the setbacks, and what were the positive aspects of those? And what advice do you have to young filmmakers that are heading in that direction?
Well, any young filmmaker who's on his way to make a studio movie, I say congratulations. It's really hard to do. You've got to remember that when I worked at Universal, it was a different company than it is today. With different people running it, and it had a different mindset. Vastly different. The movie business has changed enormously. So they were very generous with their time. And it was great. We didn't want for anything. We had great sets built. We shot up in a glacier in British Columbia, and shot in Alaska in the snowfields. And they gave us extra time to do the special effects. That wouldn't happen today. Today, you're making a product. Studios release product. That's the way they look at it. They have meetings to decide whether your project gets greenlit. And they have a head of every department sitting in there. And each one of them tells you how much they think it's going to make. That's all they care about. Profit and loss. That's all they care about. They don't care about the movies so much.
They're not out to make art these days, you're saying?
Well, they've never been out to make art. They call it show business, not show art. They're out to make money, dude.
No,
It's all about money. And when you can make money for them, they love you. And when you don't, they don't love you.
we want to thank you for coming here. This is fantastic.
You're welcome.
And I really appreciate you answering my question. Thank you very much. Go check at 5:30, y'all.
Hi, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right.
It was super cool to meet you earlier. I just wanted to thank you for coming out, just same as everybody else. My question is, I recently had the opportunity to see The Ward, and I really did like it. I don't know if you've recently seen Shutter Island, which was Scorsese.
I did. No, I have not seen it. I've heard about it. That's my movie.
It's worth a watch.
The Ward is Shutter Island. If you've seen Shutter Island, don't bother watching The Ward. It's a lower budget version without the big stars.
I was gonna reference that. It reminded me a whole lot of that, which also Shutter Island reminded me of Hitchcock in so many fashions. The music, the film, and I was just wondering if that was like your inspiration for the.
I didn't know about Shutter Island. I shot The Ward, and so
I mean Hitchcock. Was Hitchcock?
Oh, Hitchcock, of course.
Yeah,
He inspires everybody.
And I hope they give it a bigger release because it's worth seeing for sure. I liked it.
Well, I'm glad you think so. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
John, first of all, thanks for coming.
All right, and you're welcome. Don't anybody thank me again for coming.
My question,
You're welcome.
John, is you mentioned your love for cowboy movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And your success with horror. Have you ever considered a horror western?
No, that doesn't really work. I mean, maybe Cowboys and Aliens will work this summer. You guys want to see that movie? No? Yes? Yeah. Well, that may work. They tried that in the old days. They tried, it was Jesse James versus Frankenstein and Billy the Kid meets Dracula. Do you ever hear of those? That double bill?
Terrible.
No, you want to, no. Western should be a Western. That's what I think.
Hello. Okay. What is your current opinion about the state of current genre? And let's use the word genre so we don't just limit it to horror. But current genre films, period. What's good, what's bad, what they're doing right, maybe what needs to be improved, and just your feelings on the way it is today, and maybe versus how it was when you started out.
Genre movies, horror films, science fiction movies, have always have the same quality. Every year after year. Most of them are bad. A few of them are fair, and a very few are good. That's never changed. Of course, that's true of all movies. See how simple an answer to that?
You inspired me as a director who could score and direct at the same time and do it well. I was wondering what motivated you to do both roles, take on both the director and score, and what were some of your musical influences? What kind of?
I grew up with music. My dad was a music teacher. He was a PhD in music and he composed. But I did it myself because I was cheap and I was fast. We couldn't afford music.
Maybe I think that the Halloween theme has become of all one of the most classic horror themes, music themes ever written. No matter.
Well, thank you.
So I mean, it's pretty.
I would like to point out to you the theme from Psycho. I would also like to point out to you the theme from Jaws.
Certainly.
They're both
You're right up there with
horror themes.
One of my things that I love about your movies is the music scores. And
Sorry, I didn't understand you. I'm sorry.
one of the things I love about your movies is your music scores in them.
Thank you.
And I have to say, Halloween is definitely my favorite music score. And so my question is, did you ever think that score would become as classic as it is at Well Known?
No, absolutely not. That score was done in 3 days. I had enough money to go into a recording studio with a guy from SC who taught electronic music, and he had these old tube machines where you had to tune each one of them up before you could play them, and a piano. And that was all we had time for. Man, I was just trying to finish a movie. Nobody thought it was going to be great. Nobody thought you'd remember it. It's where I was in the right place at the right time. I was really, really lucky.
Hi, Mr. Carpenter.
Hey.
I wanted to ask you, this is kind of has to do with what the previous person actually right ahead of me. But anyways, when I ask you, the music in your films, I thought was absolutely brilliant, top notch. And I wanted to know Halloween, among several of your other films. I guess I wanted your opinion on. I guess, do you know which of your films would you say is your favorite musical score?
I would have to say Big Trouble in Little China.
Okay.
For me.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I've never heard you talk about They Live in an interview or anything, in commentary. Do you have any fun stories about They Live that you can share?
Fun stories?
Yeah, good story, comical stories, any story about making the film.
Not particularly.
Fight scene, the gigantically long fight scene.
Sorry?
How was to film that fight scene with Keith David?
Oh, the
Roddy
fight
Piper?
scene, yeah, the 10-minute fight scene. Well, that was a lot of fun to do. I cast Roddy Piper, who was a wrestler, and so let's put a fight scene in this thing, and let's put a long one in this thing. So we started rehearsing. It takes about a month and a half to rehearse a good fight. And in the backyard of my now wife's house. And they worked it out. And Keith David was not a fighter, just an actor. And they worked so hard, they were making contact when we shot the scene, which is great. They really put out. So I'm really proud of the fight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Line's getting shorter. I have to keep coming up. Okay, anyway, what about newer, younger directors? Are there any out there, genre or otherwise, that really impress you with their work? And kind of adding in that, of the films you've made that haven't been remade yet, are there any that you're maybe curious to see remade, and maybe any younger directors out there that you'd maybe like to see give it a shot at and see what they could do with it? Anything like that?
My favorite, there's a lot of really talented directors. Guillermo del Toro is enormously talented. Vinny Fincher is enormously talented. There are a lot of, Chris Nolan has a lot of talent. And I don't care if they're remakes or not. If you're going to make a movie, make your own film. But it can be a remake of anything. Make it yours. And try to tell something personal in the movie. Hey.
Mine's a couple of parts. It kind of brings along with what you were just saying about making the film your own. Talking about like Halloween, the way it's changed. If you were in any which way involved after writing 3, what direction would you have taken the series if you would have continued with that?
I didn't think there was any more story after the first one. That tells you how stupid I am. They're still cranking those things out. But I do have a role in every time they make a Halloween movie, and it's my favorite role in the movie business. And here's how it goes. I'm sitting on my couch, usually watching an NBA game, and I read, oh, they're going to start shooting a new Halloween movie. So I put my hand out like this. Somebody comes by with a check, and they drop it in my hand. I say, thank you very, very much. This is what I've wanted to do my entire life, is find a way to make money doing absolutely nothing. So I'm very happy about the sequel. I think it's a great job.